my channel, Peace Jones. Today I have a really great guest joining me, and he's gonna give us a bit of his story, which is really amazing. He's definitely a walking miracle, very inspiring, and hopefully it'll help a lot of people, maybe people that are going through the same things. And yeah, I'm really excited to learn about this story. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Deshaun. I'm 27. I'm from Annapolis, still live in Annapolis. I have two beautiful daughters, Cassidy and Michaela. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell. Just me and my kids.
All right, so tell us about your story. I know this happened, what, a year ago?
Memorial Day last year.
Wow, so it's been almost exactly
Yeah, almost
a year.
Almost a year.
Okay, so I really only saw like the posts about this, so I've never gotten like the full one-on-one story. So tell me what happened on this day almost exactly a year ago.
So, yeah, it was a typical day, typical Memorial Day. Thought I was going to a cookout. I was previously sick and didn't really realize, didn't really feel it because that I was partaking in recreational drugs that I shouldn't have been. And I had pneumonia, and that slows down your respiratory system. And I was also partaking in taking Percocets and drinking lean, which are both opiates, and they also slow down your respiratory system. So combine those two together, it shut everything down. Shut my whole respiratory system down. And I was in the house by myself at the time, so I went out. Some people label it as an overdose. If you want to break it all the way down, you could say it was a respiratory failure. It's all of it in a nutshell. Drugs is involved, all that. So you can call it either or. Take it which way you want to. But either way, yeah, so that happened. And the person's houses I was over, she eventually came back from wherever she was, and she ended up stopping at the grocery store. So I had the keys. She couldn't get in. She was calling me. I wasn't answering the phone because I was out. She was just gonna go to a friend's house because she assumed that I had been sick. Not that I was sick, that I was asleep, because she know that I was like ripping and running all night, and I really didn't sleep much at the time because of other things, and she just thought I was asleep. So she was ready to go to a friend's house. She kept calling, I wasn't answering. But she had groceries that she really needed to put away. So she's seen on her balcony, and she lives on the second floor, which you can actually reach it from the steps right there in front of the building. She seen that her window was still cracked, was still open. So she put her daughter up on the balcony, and then she climbed up, and then she took the screen off, and put her daughter through the window. Her daughter came to open the door. They came in. She comes in the room, and she says that she said some things to me, and she noticed that I didn't really pay no mind. So she thought that I was just pretending to still be asleep. She goes back and keep putting the groceries away, and then she came back in the room, said some more things, noticed I didn't move. She thought I was still playing. And one thing that most men don't like is when a female touches their butt. So she smacked me on my butt. She noticed I didn't move. That's when she realized that something was wrong. So she said she looked over on the bed, and I was laying face down. And when she moved my face, she noticed that my nose was bleeding. And when she turned me all the way over, she realized that it was like dead weight. And that's when she was checking to see if I was breathing, and she noticed that I wasn't. So she said she started to freak out a little bit, and she was trying to get herself together so she can try to do CPR, and as she was ready to do that, she said her daughter walked in the room, and it scared her daughter. So her daughter took off running outside and noticed that it was a police officer outside, and went and got the police officer. So then they came in, and the police officers called the ambulance, and the ambulance took me away, was taking me to the hospital. And as they were taking me to the hospital from Eastport community to the hospital, I flatlined. So they were trying to revive me, trying to bring me back to life, trying to keep trying. So then they get to the hospital, and now the doctors are trying. So once the doctors revive me, I slip into a coma, and I was in a coma for 2.5 days. So once I came out of the coma and the doctors come to talk to me and tell me what was going on and all that, the one doctor said that it was two doctors working on me, a male and a female.
Mm-hmm.
One of the doctors said that it's a certain amount of time that they have to continue to work on you before they can declare you dead. So I guess they got past that. They got up to that time and past that time, and the one doctor was pretty much like, okay, go ahead and call it. But the other doctor continued, as the one doctor was saying call it, the one doctor continued to work on me, and that's when I started to get a pulse back, very faint, they said, and the doctor was like, no, don't call it, he has a pulse now.
Mm-hmm.
And then they realized that I slipped into a coma, and I was in a coma for 2.5 days. So coming out of the coma, I was, of course, confused because I didn't know what was going on. Couldn't remember anything. From me being without oxygen to the brain for so long, it caused a hole in my brain, and that was messing with my short-term memory for a little bit. They thought that I had a stroke because my whole right side didn't work for a couple days. Yeah, I didn't. I was, of course, going through withdrawals from not taking the perks and the drinking the lean anymore. So that was just sort of a rough week, for real. There was a lot going on, I tell you that.
Wow. So first of all, I want to say that you are a miracle. I don't know if you realize that or not, but that's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, from the female's daughter running out to get the police officer, to the female doctor not giving up on you, to you actually making it through that. Like, that's so amazing. Also, I want to know, like, since you've been through this experience, I think that sometimes God puts us through experiences and it's detrimental to us, and it's like terrible and just something we would never wish for, but it's necessary for our evolution and our growth, and sometimes it's necessary to help others, right? So I have this one saying that I used to always tell one person in particular, right? God has, and I'm not pushing God on anyone because that's just what I believe, right? But I say God has the ultimate brakes, right? So if you don't slow down and you keep pushing forward and you think that nothing's gonna slow you down, God has the ultimate brakes, right? So in your situation, I'm assuming that, you know, this was something that you were used to doing, you were dabbling in it, you were like, it's all good, I'll never take too much, or it'll never really affect me, like, this is just recreational, right?
Right.
But God had different plans, and he said, look, keep going, I'm gonna let you have a little bit of fun, right? I'm gonna let you get comfortable. But when he says stop, the ultimate breaks, okay, I'm gonna sit you down in this hospital and you're going to pay attention to me, right? So I think that that is like a huge thing that a lot of people, especially young people, need to know, because we think we're invincible, we think that we know it all, and a lot of times it takes, unfortunately, the worst circumstances to kind of open our eyes. I had a situation like that too. Mine was financial. God must know how much I care about my money, but I kept dealing with a person to the point that I had to take a huge financial loss. And after that, you think I went back? No.
You got
like,
the message then.
yeah, I got the message then. But that was like God putting his brakes on me. Like, look, I told you to stop. Okay, I'm taking your money. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I really didn't like that. So I think that that is a huge thing that people need to realize. And maybe if there's someone watching this now and I'm really speaking to you and you're in a situation right now where it's like, I'm kind of pushing it, maybe you want to slow down, because just know that when life or whoever you think controls the universe slows you down, it might not be pretty, right? So with all that being said, Deshawn, do you have anything that you want to tell people in particular about like your experience, what you learned, or maybe just like some positive words about life in general?
It's like with that whole situation, as crazy as it may seem, it was like I think that was like the only thing that would have got me to getting on the path to becoming the man that I am now, because it was like for a little bit I guess I really did carry it and act as if I was Superman. Probably because I've been through a lot of things, and it was like they say what don't kill you make you stronger, and I do understand that aspect of it, but with me it was kind of different. Everything that I overcame, or anything that I gotten through, it made me feel more and more like I was invincible. Like I don't understand why my mentality was that way, but that's kind of the way it was. So even down to the taking the drugs, the life that the way I was living, the way I was treating people, the way I carried my life, the example that I was setting to the universe, it was that persona, as if I couldn't be touched. But when when that situation happened, one thing that it did, it made me like really like sit there and think. That was one of the things it made me do. And another thing is, it really showed me like, no, you're not Superman. Like, that was for one, because once I came out the coma, number one, I had to depend on everybody for literally everything. I couldn't get into my phone because my fingers were swollen, so I couldn't use the thumb pad, my thumb pad on my phone. I couldn't remember my password. I couldn't remember my kid's birthday. I couldn't remember my mother's phone number. It was like sometimes I couldn't even remember if I had eaten. The only way I knew that if I had eaten, if I didn't feel hungry, you know what I'm saying? But it was like, being in that situation, it make you rethink some stuff. It make you reevaluate some things. And I honestly think you would be a fool to go back to, if you end up in that situation, anything close to that, or you were borderline dead. Like, it was literally like my mom said, that the information that the doctor was coming out there with is touch and go. It's touch and go. They wasn't really giving her no, he's gonna be fine, or we got him stable, he's gonna be fine. They was telling her it was touch and go, it's touch and go. So also thinking about that is you looking at people that you love in the eyes, and you realize that you're the cause of this pain. And it's not that, oh, you were in an unfortunate situation. No, this was a situation that you continuously play with and put yourself in. So, like, it was like basically three things that I started to take into consideration after all that was that life is not a joke, number one. Two, no one's Superman or Superwoman. You can be amazing at a lot of things. You can be perfect at your craft, but there's somebody higher that, like you said, when it's time for you to slow down, it will be a speed bump put in front of you. Like, it will be. And it won't be no speed bump that all you got to do is just slow down to get over it, and it won't mess up your car. No, it's going to be a speed bump that is going to make you stop your car, and you're going to have to get out your car and push to get over it. That's what's going to end up happening. So it was like, once I started to like reevaluate things, I had to figure out like what path I was going to take. And I had to literally sit there and realize, like, look, ever since you turned probably like 18 or 19, things have been really a roller coaster. So I had to like shift everything, not just take out this, leave this, take out this, leave this, or replace this with that. No, I had to like literally sit there and reroute everything from scratch. So it was friends that didn't do no wrong that was in my circle that they had to go because they wasn't doing no good. You don't, just because you're not doing no good don't mean you're doing wrong. But if you're not doing me no good at this point, there's nothing that I can do with you right now. And there's no meaning I love you any less, but you just gotta go. It was activities that I could no longer associate myself with because it was just a gateway for me to keep going back to the same path that how I was living. And then I had to find some type of way to, I don't know if it wasn't necessarily like I felt like I had to do it, but it was like it was stuck on my mind, so that's what made me feel like I had to do it. And that's what dealing with and mentoring the youth. It's like I've always been good with the younger kids, and younger kids always take to me. So I've always been a coach for either football or basketball. The kids in the neighborhood, they've always loved me. They've always looked up to me, and even when I was living a crazy life, they always looked up to me in some sort of way. So it was like, let me head in this direction. Let me see where this can take me or what I can get out of this. And it wasn't, and I guess when I say what I get out of this, it was like the satisfaction of knowing that I'm helping to make a better future for my kids by directing them in a way not to go, but giving them the option of where to go on their own, because you can't make somebody do something they don't want to do. So, and I felt like that's what was done to me a lot as I was growing up. People wanted to, not my mom or anybody like that, it was just like outside people wanted to make me do certain things because they felt as though that was best, but really, like, I felt like it wasn't doing nothing for me. So it was like this whole situation was just like it needed to happen. And like I said, I wouldn't have turned out this way at this present time if it wasn't for what happened last year. Because last year that was like one of the like worst years of my 27 years of living. It was nothing but depression, anger. Like, it was, you might have seen me smiling, but it wasn't I'm just smiling because I'm alive. It was a smile because I don't want you to keep asking me what's wrong or what's going on. I don't want to get in deep conversation, you know what I'm saying? Or it was just like, it's crazy because sometimes I get on Instagram, right, and I keep scrolling all the way down to like pictures from the past couple years back. And just to look at my face and to look at my posture and my body is just, it's different. And I know why it's different, you know what I'm saying? So that give me more satisfaction than posting a picture and getting 200 likes. Because
you've seen your own
right.
growth.
So it's like, and I know my truth. So it's like, I'm looking at the picture and I know the memories that the picture holds. So I'm looking at the picture and I'm like, damn, look how your eyes look. Look how puffy your eyes look. You probably had no sleep. Probably was high as ever. You got that cup in your hand. I know what's in that cup. You know what I'm saying? Look how small you was. And then I look at a picture from the past like 8 or 9 months, and it just looks so much healthier and brighter and more glowing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like I get satisfaction off little things like that, and you just don't know. You just don't know like how blessed I be telling myself, like not even telling myself, like in my head, like if something go wrong. Of course, I still have bad days,
but it's never
right.
As bad,
Right. So it's like I be thinking to myself, like, yo, you can't hang your head, man. And like, you was almost on your backside, ready to get lowered.
And life is like such a blessing. I was just telling someone this the other day, like, every time you go to get sad, literally, this is part of my prayers at night. Thank you for my arms, my legs, my brain, my car, my job, my shelter. We take those things for granted, but literally life is precious.
Really?
You can literally be here one day and not the next, and we're complaining because we can't afford this certain bag, or we can't go on vacation 3 times a year instead of 1. You know, it's like the things that we really get caught up on are just not that important when you really look at life. And another thing that I really try and promote is like simple things, friendships, bonds. Get close with people that really care about you and do simple things. One thing I really want to do at some point in my life is just have like a simple, good old party or cookout where I just invite everybody, and we literally, it's nothing extra. We're gonna have music, food, and fun. We're gonna enjoy each other. Like, we don't have to spend all this money and go out, and I want to throw this yacht party, and I want to have this ballroom party, and I want, like, no, I don't need everyone to come out of their pockets to have good fun and celebrate me.
And that's crazy that you said that, because at first I was one of them people that I was always out. Like, always out. Like, from sun up to sundown, I was always out. Of course, I was out more than I even slept. Like, that's just how I was. I didn't sleep good. I never really slept. I was just always out. I always, like, had to go somewhere or had to be doing something, had to be on the move. But now, the simplest things, like,
make you happy.
Like, literally make me happy. Like, I could literally get off from work and be sitting on the front porch with you just laughing at the cars go by. You know what I'm saying? Like, not necessarily really
And you
saying
just
the cause
catch
about it,
yourself
just something simple.
smiling,
Yeah,
yeah.
I literally might look at my phone and accidentally slide onto the camera and I see myself smiling, and I look at it for a second because then I realize like, last year, I couldn't have bought this. Nothing was giving me this. Nothing, not drugs, not being with several females. Nothing was giving me that. Nothing. And me and my significant other at the time was going through a lot, and she wasn't happy, I wasn't happy, but I couldn't make her happy for the simple fact that I was a wreck inside, and I kept feeling like nobody understood, solely because I was tired of talking about the things and nothing changing. So I was tired of talking about it, and like they say, insanity is doing the same things and expecting
Over
a different
and
result.
over, yep.
And people were saying that to me, and I would hear it,
But it wasn't
but
clicking.
it wasn't clicking. So it was like, I just keep doing it. Oh, I'll semi-do it, or just stick my foot in a little bit. And it's like, once I stick my foot in a little bit, it'll just pull me all the way back. So it was like, that's why I said at one point in time, it was just like a non-stop roller coaster. It was like the Superman ride. You're going straight for a little bit, you're going up for a little bit, next thing you know, it's just a drop.
Right.
And now you down, and you don't think you know what to do to get back. You get back, and then it just happens again. So being in that hospital bed, like, I literally was like, I couldn't sleep. I wasn't eating. I lost 18 pounds in 6 days.
Wow.
I went in there at 181. I left out like 168 or something like that. And somebody with a body like mine, that's gonna show, and it showed. But I literally was, because most of the time it was either my mother or my girl at the time, Kendra, or a couple of my friends, or my grandmother, or my siblings. They was like kind of always there. At some point in time they would leave, and it was several times where I was literally in that room by myself. In that bed by myself. Of course the bed's not coming, so I'm not gonna sleep. I would literally just be sitting there, and I could be trying to watch TV just so I could just kind of get my mind on other things. No, it was my mind going a million miles per hour, and the only thing that would slow it down was me trying to think about things. So eventually I gave in. I was like, you know what, you can't run from this forever.
You gotta
yeah,
face
like
it.
you gotta face it. So I literally sat there. Times I looked up, I cried, I thought about it, I came up with plans, you know what I'm saying? Because I was like, I'm really tired of this roller coaster, you know what I'm saying? Like, from the outside looking in, I was probably looking like the most toughest person you ever seen, but people didn't really know. Inside, I was broke. I was broken in all sorts of ways. So it was like, coming out of there, like each thing that I was getting better at, or things getting better, it gave me so much more strength. And I honestly feel like in my head, it felt like when I got out the hospital that I was walking bent over and weak. But then as time went on and things started to get better, I kept pushing. It's like I started to stand up more. And then once I felt like I was standing all the way up, it was just, I couldn't explain after that. It was like I felt like I just wanted to yell, I'm back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good.
And literally, it's crazy that everything you're describing is like self-evolution, right?
Right.
Even from you saying you were hunched over, like you guys have seen that in books, like as the human evolves and then you end up standing up straight. But not only that, like when you say that, you know, the activities that you were engaging in were no longer beneficial, the people that you were hanging out with, even though they may not have done anything wrong, but now they just didn't feel right. You know what I mean? I went through that same thing, and if you check out my self-evolution video, it's crazy because everything you're saying is what I said. And I think that's just amazing that, you know, other people are going through that same thing. It just comes a time where you know yourself.
Right.
And I think with a lot of men, and unfortunately black men, y'all don't know your potential, and that drives me insane. I can look at somebody and say, look, you can do this. You're intelligent enough. You're hardworking enough. You're capable enough. And they will say no. And they will genuinely believe no. Like you were saying, like, before you had this whole thing happen to you, you were doing these certain things. You were engaging in these things. You were hanging out with these people. I just wish that people knew that they were worth more and
Right.
better than that.
Especially men.
Right, before it got down to that. Because the craziest thing, you were always this capable, great person.
Always.
You were literally covering yourself, stopping yourself. And granted, you're still young. You have plenty of time to like be on top of your empire, and you will. But I'm just like, oh, if I could just give you back those first 20-some years,
Right,
you know,
right.
that you really could have been going hard. You really could have been putting even more into yourself. But I understand, you know, like those things needed to happen. Maybe if you were good before then, you wouldn't even have taken advantage of it. So you did need to learn yourself and understand yourself and learn your full and true potential. But I'm really happy to see a black man that you know yourself, you know your worth, you know what you're capable of. And yes, we make mistakes. We're all human. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? The only important thing, I don't care if you were a crack addict, if you were homeless, if you were in a mental institute for 5 years, if you abandoned your kids, I don't care what you did. If you learn something from it and you change your behavior for the better, that is all that matters. So I really, really do admire you, and I really genuinely think that you're a miracle, and I think your story is amazing. I definitely encourage you to even do like guest speaking. A lot of youth need to hear this.
Speaking of that, keep going. I got you.
A lot of youth need to hear this, and I think you could go far because you seem to really have taken a lot from it, and it's amazing that you can be so open about it. And I think that you can relate to a lot of guys too, because I don't want to sound bad saying this, but like a lot of young black males, they can't relate to
The people that's trying to motivate.
Yeah. But for you, I think that you could really like capture their attention and make them listen and understand. You
Right.
know what I mean?
It was crazy because it was like a couple days before the whole situation happened. So that happened on a Monday. I want to say that Thursday before, when I was over Eastport, a guy, he's a pretty much alcoholic. He drinks all day, every day. But he a cool dude. I'm walking out of the building. He just grabbed my arm, and he was like teary-eyed. So I'm like, what's wrong? He was like, it's just your aura. He just kept saying, it's just your aura. I'm like, what you mean? He like, yo, it's just your aura. He was like, it's something about you. He's like, yo, when you come around me, he said, I feel funny, but it's a good, funny feeling. Like, so I'm thinking he on some weird stuff. So I'm like, what you mean? Like, what you talking about? Because when he said that, it kind of, at first I was ready to brush him off like I always do, but now he kind of like hooked me in when he said, I'm like, what you talking about? He was like, yo, he was like, yo, I swear you're gonna do something great, but you gotta let go of something or someone. So I'm like, what? He was like, you gotta let go of some things. You just got to, and I promise you it's gonna all fall in your lap. So I'm just go ahead about my day like I usually do. And then after I got out the hospital and I seen him again, he was like, you finally letting it go.
That's
And
so
I didn't know what he was talking about, because at the time I didn't really feel like I made any changes yet. So I'm like, I kind of slightly brushed him off, but I remember exactly what he said. He was like, you finally started to let some stuff go. So I was like, I guess. And then he was like, trust me. He said, trust me, you was saved, because, which I don't even know how he even knew like exactly what happened, that I was saved, anything like that. But he was like, you were saved to be someone else's blessing. And once he said that, it was like when I started to think some more, and now I was like, maybe that's why like these kids been stuck on my mind and stuff like that. Maybe. And then I put on Facebook like, anybody know who working with the kids? I want to try to start doing some things working with the kids. People started commenting on it saying, holla at D Ward. So me and D, we been knew each other. D a couple years older than me. We been knew each other from football and the neighborhoods and stuff like that. And D hit me up, and we started we was on the phone for probably like 3 hours. Like, just two men just literally like venting and talking and giving each other direction and giving each other ideas and brainstorming off each other. And D was like, yo, we gotta work together and do some things in this city. He was like, cause I've never talked to nobody, let alone for 3 hours, and it's more so me wanting to listen to them than me talking to them. And he was the one that called me. And I felt the same way that he felt. So it was like, we came up with a day to really sit down and figure some things out. And he had already had a mentoring group that he wanted to start in progress, but he needed some help with it. So he brought me on board with that. And then he like was pretty much taking me along on his speaking engagements to show me some things. Cause me, I'm straight off the block. I didn't do none of this. Didn't even think about doing none of this.
Right.
I wasn't even thinking about speaking to nobody.
So it's like new to you.
Right. It was at the time, months ago, it was new to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't thinking nothing about that.
Right.
I'm thinking like, when I'm saying in my mind, when I'm thinking of helping the youth, I'm thinking of, oh, I'm outside in the neighborhood and I see them doing wrong. I'm telling them no.
Right.
But then at the same time, I'm conflicted because I'm telling myself like, I don't want to be there if I don't need to be there. So how can I help them? And that's what made me reach out to figure out how could I help them without having to physically be in the neighborhood with them all the time. So when I linked up with D, we talked about so much stuff and we put actions to our plans, which a lot of people wasn't doing, making promises to these kids.
And that's so sad.
And I think that was what made it, why we didn't get that trust right off the bat. Because a lot of these young in these neighborhoods, they, number one, they don't have nobody to really look up to that's gonna have a happy ending at the end.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, some of these people are not telling them the truth. They're only telling them semi the truth. What sounds good, or what's gonna make them continuously like them. Right. So they continuously telling these youngins about their drug stories or whatever, but they only telling how much they was winning. They don't say how much they done lost or what they done lost to 10 to 3rd. Me, I kept it all the way 100 with them. No, man, I done did the drugs, I done sold them, I done did that in the 3rd. You know what I'm saying? I kept it all the way funky with them. And I basically put it all out there like, this is me. Y'all see me every day. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know what I'm telling y'all is not no lie.
Right.
So now they like...
And they respect that more,
right.
You know? Because kids know, they're young, but they understand, and especially kids in that environment, they've seen a lot. So if you sit up there and try and tell them something wild, they're going to be like, no.
No. they BS meter is off the chain, off the chain. And I think that's why when I gave them all that, and I told them, I said, look, in the beginning, yeah, my mother tried to make sure we had everything we needed and some at once. I said, I didn't necessarily have to go hit the block, and even though I did live in the hood, I didn't have to necessarily go that direction. I said, but me seeing it so much, I got sucked into that direction. And I said, because my mother raised me the best way she could, and an amazing one. My mother's an amazing mother, was always there. Every single game, every single event, all that. So, no, that wasn't the case. That was me. That was me doing what I thought I wanted to do. And that's what led me that way. I told them how I played lacrosse, how I was a 3-sport athlete, basketball, football, and lacrosse. I could have went to a private school, all that. I told them all that. And I was like, I was really gonna go there. So I'm telling them like, y'all don't have to look at some of these things like they're foreign objects to y'all, because y'all can obtain them.
Exactly.
Y'all can obtain them. Y'all look at them like foreign objects because y'all don't know
your potential.
Right, you don't know your potential, and you don't know how many other people that are just like you that were there. If you look at some of your favorite athlete stories, if you look at it from the beginning, they might have came from a place just like we came from. Violence, drugs, broken homes. But we can fix that. So we took that path, and trust me, that is not 100% easy. It's not, because for one, me and D are only 2 people. That's for one. Number 2, we can't be with these kids 24/7 like we want to. So it's really supposed to be a team effort, a partnership. If you're the mom, I'm his mentor. While
You
you're doing you,
reinforce
right,
that
while you're
thing.
doing you, I'm going to hold you down and I'm going to make sure you're straight. But then when I release him back to you, you got to make sure you reinforce just some of the things that we was just talking about. Because if you don't, it's going to be a two-way street and he going to be, and I think that's what also mess kids up too. I think when kids got a slight balance, they got a good balance and a bad balance, I think that's what really like put them on the brink of breaking, because now they over here, they gonna feel like that this person just wants them to do good. Then they go over here, they gonna think that this person don't care and they just know it's all negative on this side. So now they not even thinking about what they actually want themselves. They worrying about what's going on both sides.
Right.
And I think that's why when we was talking to some of these kids and they in like 11th grade and they even not thinking about college, or they thinking about college but have no idea what they want to do. And we like, you should know by now, you in 11th grade or you in 12th grade. And I used to feel that way.